Ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics, the wave-particle duality of light, and the structural integrity of a modern skyscraper all trace back to the same person. Thomas Young was a child prodigy who read fluently by age 2 and mastered multiple languages by 14. He grew up to become a scientist with an almost unbelievable range of expertise. As a physician, he mapped the anatomy of the eye to explain how it focuses. He also provided the first medical description of astigmatism. Astigmatism is a common imperfection in the curvature of the eye that causes blurred distance and near vision. In physics, he took on Isaac Newton's long-standing theory that light traveled as a stream of particles. By conducting the famous double-slit experiment, Young proved that light actually moves as a wave. In linguistics, he identified the first phonetic characters in the Egyptian hieroglyphs of the Rosetta Stone, providing the foundation for their full translation years later. Anatomy, optics, quantum physics, and linguistics. These look like isolated achievements, but they reflect a mind capable of identifying the universal rules hiding underneath complex systems. In 1807, Young applied that skill to solve a problem that was suffocating structural engineering. Before the 1800s, builders relied on Hooke's law to estimate if a material would stretch or snap. The principle is simple. A spring extends in direct proportion to the force pulling it. But Hooke's law had a limitation. It only calculated the behavior of a specific, pre-tested object. It could tell you how a particular rod or spring would behave, but it revealed nothing about the internal strength of the raw material itself. This created an engineering nightmare. Knowing the strength of a 10-foot iron beam provided no mathematical help if you needed to build with a 20-foot beam, or a beam shaped like an eye. Because engineers could not separate the shape of an object from the substance it was made of, construction was a process of trial and error. This lack of predictability capped the height and scale of what humans could safely build. In 1807, Young realized that to calculate the true strength of a substance, you have to mathematically strip away its dimensions. He defined stress as internal force per unit area. A thick wire spreads a load, while a thin wire concentrates it, increasing stress. Next, strain is the stretch relative to its original length. These ratios measure distortion regardless of an object's size. He then identified the material's elastic limit. This is the maximum stress a material can endure and still return to its original shape once the load is removed. By establishing stress and strain as universal ratios, Young created a way to evaluate how any substance reacts to physical loads, completely independent of its physical shape. This changed the world, a value calculated by dividing stress by strain. Because the equation uses ratios, specific dimensions cancel out, leaving a single constant value for the material itself. A massive steel I-beam and a tiny paperclip share this exact value. A high Young's modulus indicates a material that is incredibly stiff and resistant to stretching. Steel and diamond sit at the top of this scale. Materials like rubber have a low modulus. They require very little force to undergo a large amount of deformation. This changed the world. An engineer only needs to know this one number to mathematically predict exactly when any structure will bend or snap before they ever start building. Aerospace engineers use this math to design airplane wings that can flex sharply under heavy turbulence without snapping. Civil engineers rely on the same calculation to build skyscrapers that safely sway in high winds instead of remaining rigid and fracturing. This math even works at the microscopic scale. Biologists use Young's modulus to measure the elasticity of human cells and their cytoskeletons. The cytoskeleton is the internal network of protein filaments that provides a cell with its mechanical support. From the microscopic structure of a cell to the steel spine of a skyscraper, this single mathematical relationship governs the flexibility of our physical world. Thomas Young's impact was massive, even if his life as a public figure was often difficult. When he lectured here at the Royal Institution, his content was famously pitched too high for his audience to understand. But the rigor he applied to those lectures gave humanity the fundamental rules for structural reality. His work in physics, his breakthroughs in linguistics, and his discoveries in medicine provided the rules that others used to build the modern world. Thomas Young's unbridled pursuit of knowledge earned him a rare title, the last man who knew everything. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more stories of the people who built our world, like and subscribe. And tell us in the comments, which historical polymath should we cover next?